this is unprecedented, right? I can't think of other examples from other teams where a guy has these separate stints on completely opposite ends of his career. All of a sudden, he's back in the bigs as like a 35-year-old.
Yeah, it's a longer span between appearances. Once he actually makes an appearance, it'll be a longer span between appearances than Albert Pujols with St. Louis Cardinals. That's about as long as I can find. I don't know. I don't know if there's a longer one. We threw around the names Brad Penny. I totally forgot that he came back to Miami in 2014. The last time he pitched here was in 2004, so that's a 10-year gap. Juan Pierre was last year in 2005. He came back in 2013. Yep. 8-year gap. So Rob Brantly is the longest that I could find, not just with Miami, but with anybody. I don't know if that's actually the case, but that's the longest that I can find.
Yeah, people got to keep these fun facts coming about how crazy this is. I will share and retweet all the ones I can find about everything that's been changed. I'll go ahead, Carver, on this same subject, just how weird it is that he's back. You probably remember him. That was like I guess it's not, he even predates your Marlins prospect coverage when he was a prospect with the Marlins and just breaking through. But he was, man, at the very beginning of the Miami era, he was playing and bounced around a lot, hung around. You saw him in spring training, but didn't you think he was kind of just there as a glorified coach? The fact that he's actually now playing games for this team.
Yes, to answer your question. Hasn't played a game in AAA for the Marlins since he's been back. It's been Augustin Ramirez basically every day. Hasn't played a game. So his last game played in a uniform was in spring training. So he's had all that time to sit and think about what's going to happen with his career. And now he finds himself back on the Miami Marlins somehow. It's no knock on him. He's had a decent career as a catcher. But, as you said, Eli, I thought this was a guy that came in just to catch guys. You need more than 2 guys or 3 guys even to catch guys in spring training. I thought that was going to be his ceiling as a Marlins player rejoining them. And now he's going to catch a game tonight and probably a few more, I would say, while Fortes is dealing with this injury. Hicks, we'll see. I mean, I figured that maybe it would be him that would start this game, but apparently not. I guess it's going to be Rob, but it's cool to see him back. I mean, this is a blast from the past for me. Like you said, Eli, it's kind of a guy that, I kind of knew from my time spent in San Diego. He's from San Diego. He went to UC Riverside. I kind of know him from those times when I was a much younger kid. So I know him from then. I know him from joining the Marlins and being on the Marlins. And I was also pretty young then. So it's been a long time since the orange uniforms that we've seen this guy in a major league game and with the Marlins. And now we're going to see him again tonight. And I really don't know what else Augustin has to really do other than continuing to improve as a catcher. But you figured with the direction of this team, they've saved that year of control, as you printed earlier, and he still can't get his shot. And they're going to this guy who is much past his prime and 36 years old, 35 years old. I'm 38, so I guess, or they're almost 38. So I guess it's cool to see that an older guy can still make it in Major League Baseball with the Marlins, but this is totally against the direction of the franchise. I would be interested to ask what else Augustin has to do. And I would guess the answer would be continuing to improve defensively, which is fair. But, this is a team that's not expected to do much more. I would say they would be expected to do more, and it's no knock on him, but with where he is in his career, I think they could do more with Augustin as a member of this roster versus Rob Brantly. But that's fine. That's why we're not in charge. I think we'll see Augustin still later this year, but I think this was a prime opportunity to call him up. They didn't do it.
Yeah. Brantley really does shift the mean for the average age of this Marlins roster, unfortunately. Now, 35, he turns 36 in July. I don't think he's going to be on this roster into July. You would hope that this is only a short-term thing. And as somebody else previously wanted to confirm, yes, he is from the Anibal Sanchez trade in 2012. That is, Danny may have something to say about that because good Anibal had obviously a very good career from that point forward. And Brantley has, I guess, now outlasted him by a little bit in the big leagues. But man, I did not expect to see him on that much. And if you just look at his usage through the years with Brantley, he gets to the big leagues with various teams, but for never more than a week or two at a time for the entire year he played. He did not play. He played 3 games in the majors last year with the Rays. He did not play in 2023. In 2022, he played 1 game with the Yankees. In 2021, he played 6 games with the Yankees for the entire year. The year before that, with the Giants, 1 game. So that tells you what other teams think of him. You have to assume the Marlins are going to handle it similarly. So the question is whether that reinforcement, that next man up, is going to be Agustin Ramirez from AAA in the coming days or weeks, or is it going to be Brian Navarreto? He might make another comeback. Only 5 years between his Marlins tenures. If he comes back up, he was in the COVID season. For people don't remember, it's a tough spot. We were talking about this as like the weakest position on the roster entering the season. The Hicks and Fortes combo got off to a better than expected start, and now it looks pretty vulnerable again because they are putting a whole lot of responsibility in Hicks's hands as a rookie.
I'm not incredibly surprised that he was activated, but yes, he was a glorified coach all of spring training. He was getting some pretty regular reps during Grapefruit League season, but if you watch the live BPs and you watch the spring workouts, he was really helping out more than participating in drill. I'm very curious to see. I'm just very curious to see what he does. I know it hasn't been that long since he's participated in major league games, but to me, I did not think this was going to happen. I know he's been on the taxi squad, quote unquote, sort of taking Johnny Paredes' role from last year and the Jorge Alfaro role from the playoff season when they had a backup catcher. But good for him. He really is a good guy. I just remember it clearly, him being part of that Omar Infante and Anibal trade. He was the offensive-minded young catcher and played a lot in 2012, was a starting catcher in 2013, and here we are 12 years later, and he's called up. Not only, this isn't a September call-up, this is in April. He's getting the shot to be the backup catcher for a Marlins team that's 6-6. So really cute story, in my opinion, and hopefully he does something cool, like hits one out in his short time in the Major League roster.